Hey everyone, on this episode we're testing out Fox shocks across 3 different trucks to see just how much it improves the ride. Yesterday we shot out to the SoCal High Desert and the dry lake beds nearby, which has a lot of different terrains and environments ranging from high speed to washouts to fun dunes to play on and rock crawling galore. We have 3 different vehicles right now, all serving 3 different purposes with different expectations out of the suspension and the platform. Our goal here is to evaluate with before and afters where we can and bring genuine feedback on these shocks for our customers. We've got a purpose-built 2020 Ram 2500 Power Wagon on a brand new Carli suspension featuring the Fox 2.0s. We've got a desert-running 2015 Tacoma on a brand new 2-inch long travel kit equipped with a Fox 2.5 DSC. And lastly, we have Kingston's, also known as Roaming Lost, his overland-focused 2020 Ram 1500 Rebel, which just got a set of Fox 2.5 DSCs. While this episode is focused entirely on Fox, that's kind of just a coincidence. We've ran Bilstein, Rancho, Icon, and Falcon across these platforms before, so ending up on Fox just goes to show how solid of a choice it may be for your ride. So let's get into it. Guys, Sean here with Eric. We've got some stuff to go over on the Fox suspension. We've been running the systems and the trucks for the past 3 days pretty hard. It's nighttime right now because it's the desert and it's 100 degrees during the day. So we're shooting here at night in currently beautiful Joshua Tree, but we've been running all over the SoCal High Desert, just kind of getting into whatever we can. All kinds of scenarios, some high speed, just dry lake beds, playing in the washes, up mountains, down mountains, over rocks, really kind of putting these trucks through their paces. Behind me we've got the Ram Power Wagon, which is currently my truck, and it's got a new Carli suspension on it, and boy, what a massive difference it makes. I've been telling everyone that I enjoy driving my truck again. Previously I had a 2006 Tacoma on a Stage 8 Icon kit, and that was kind of the pinnacle of my driving experience in a light truck. Got to really go fast, handled 800 pounds of weight in the back like no problem.
Nice jumps.
Yeah, yeah. It handled it really, everything really nice. The Power Wagon in stock form left a lot to be desired. So the Carli suspension with the Fox 2.0s really makes a massive difference. I am still getting a lot of bottom out on like the hard kind of whoops and unexpected kind of bottom out sections through the desert, but the good thing is it's not bucking back up too much. There are some sections that we got a lot of squirrely.
When you say this, the Carli suspension, I don't think most people know exactly what that entails. We got the commuter kit, right?
Yeah.
So that is the brackets, the relocation brackets. It's a 2-inch lift. Yep. That's the Fox 2.0s.
Yep.
What else is on that kit that comes with?
Yeah, so it's got the it's got the radius arm drop brackets, it's got 2-inch rear springs, and it's got 2-inch front springs. And the good thing about the Carli kit and what they're kind of known for is their spring rates being generally pretty softer. So they're still providing a lift, but they're kind of a softer spring, which allows the shock to really do a lot of the control. A lot of kits you hear oversprung, where the spring is to provide that lift. It's pretty stiff, and it doesn't really allow the shocks to work too much because of how firm those springs are. So the Fox, the shocks are doing a lot of the work on this system, which really gives the Carli kits their performance. The commuter kit starts at the Fox 2.0s, and then the backcountry kit goes to Fox Reservoirs, and then the Dominator kit pin top goes to King 2.5. So the Carli kit, the base stuff, base springs, front and rear. They've got some torsion sway bar upgrades. They've got some ball joint upgrades, but we started at the very bottom, just because we want to go through that progression and talk about.
And we're already seeing great results.
Yeah, exactly. So we just want to go through that progression to see all these little upgrades do, and so far it's great. Handles the aggressive terrain just like a champ, so I can only imagine what better shocks are going to do for it in the future. So really enjoyed it out here, just tons of fun to drive. 400 horsepower, just mobbing around the desert is just so nice. So can't say enough about that. And then, well, you've been in it before and then in it now. Have you noticed anything different?
I mean, even just filming.
Oh yeah.
Like being out here and seeing the vehicle as we're pushing the limits. You know, when we were even at Swing Arm City and you jumped it, I was shocked at how well it handled. Like when you hit, we're going to show you a video of this obviously, but when you went up and then hit the back end just kind of sat. Yeah. Planted and then just kind of like smoothly moved away. There was no bucking, no drama. It just was like, okay, we did it and landed and went through. And I thought that was really impressive. Yeah. Having ridden in the truck, I do notice a difference. Like it feels a little bit more well-mannered, a little bit less of the vibration jolting, like
the jolty feels a lot of the joltiness is gone, right? Yeah,
a lot of the joltiness, and then also the noise from the chassis. You know, I feel like there's a lot of improvements, and I'm sure, like, you know, going up in that line, it only gets better. But like, there's a lot of improvements that I've seen already from that.
Yeah, when I was running the Rancho kit, before the Rancho shocks on the stock suspension before this, it would absorb the hard hits okay, but there was just so much bucking in the front and rear because the rebound in those Rancho shocks just suck compared to a Fox setup. I don't know what magic they're doing and
those Ranchos are adjustable.
Yeah, and we had the Rancho adjustables set to firm just nonstop because it wasn't really giving me the control I wanted on anything softer. So really amazing what Fox has done in a 2-inch package with the rebound and being able to absorb these hard hits and keep the suspension still planted. You still bottom out. I'm still bottoming out quite a bit, but it's not like throwing me like left or right or up. It's keeping traction, which is the most important thing when we're talking like suspension.
Well, and I ran the Fox 2.0s on the Wrangler previously, and I still say that I feel that was kind of a sweet spot for this Jeep. Like it performed. Yeah. There was no fuss, no messing with it. I didn't have to get out and tweak anything. I just got in and went. And I felt like it was a really good setup for this platform. Yeah. Only accentuated, you know, with similar drivetrains. But bigger, like it's still handling.
Yeah, I feel like there's still some guessing that's being done on the adjustable shocks currently on the Wrangler.
Yeah, well, it's part of the fun with the adjustments is you can mess it up.
And then we got into Jeff's Tacoma, which is a 2015 long travel kit. It previously had the Fox 2.5 DSCs on it, but he just put a long travel kit on the front, which is about 2 inches. So just a little bit of a wider stance, a little bit longer upper and lower arms, and also longer coilover towers as well. So you get more travel out of it. Just up, you know, more travel on both front corners. It's not really affecting the rear. So I definitely noticed in the front, the biggest thing I noticed when I was in Jeff's setup going through those whoopy sections up on the Dooney area, the front felt amazing, but the rear end just kept bucking, like for just some reason kept bucking and being the inconsistent thing. And every time I would see us filming it, the rear end was like doing this, and he was like sitting on the front wheels all the time.
I feel like the front's fine, but it's like almost the back on that. Well, at least that was nicer.
It almost looked like it was not balanced. Yeah. And even in some of the shots, like looking back over footage, you actually see the front end digging into like sand and picking up some stuff. So it looked a little unbalanced, and I think that's just an adjustment issue. That's you know, that's something that he can, you know, adjust front and rear. I know he mentioned getting different leaf spring pack, and potentially taking, I know, some weight out of the rear, but I mean, it just might be a balance issue and trying to make that work.
Yeah, and Jeff was also talking how the front is currently set to the firmest it can go, and he wants to revalve that those front shocks to be where the current firmness, he wants that to be probably the 25% on the adjustment settings. So dial it way back.
More.
Yeah, he wants a lot more compression built into the base valving of the shock, and then being able to use the DSCs to up the compression even more. So that goes to show how much he's really planning on beating on this thing.
Jeff likes to drive fast.
Yeah.
He likes to push it.
Yeah, so he's got, just to give you a little bit of idea, also that Tacoma's got, it's re-geared. I don't know the gearing ratios, but there's 35s on it. He's got new rear shock towers with 12-inch travel, Fox 2.5 DSCs on the rear as well. I think he definitely we all know now we need to get a different leaf spring set up, because the current one, I think he's just beat on those RXT leaf pack significantly.
I mean, that thing's been pushed.
Yeah. This is actually the first trip that it hasn't broke something.
Yeah, congrats, Jeff.
2 days in a row. Thanks, Jeff.
You made it.
And then one of the other main reasons we were out here is Kingston's Overland build Ram 1500, his Rebel. So Kingston came to us for the Bilstein 6112s because he wanted better ride quality. The Falcon gave him the height he needed, but like he didn't like the ride quality. It was a little bit too firm. So got him into the 6112s. He noticed an immediate difference on the ride quality. So that just goes to show just more proof that those Bilstein 6112s are super solid. Unfortunately, you know, he's trying to fit 35-inch tires, trying to get a certain amount of height, and the 6112s just weren't really getting him there with the springs that were provided, mainly because those springs that were provided were part of the V8. He's got a diesel, so there's been a lot of playing back and forth with Roaming lost his suspension. We've really been doing a lot to try to dial in exactly the height he needs, all the load he's carrying. He's got a
ton of gear.
A lot of stuff. He's got a Super Pacific rear camper with a rooftop tent. He's got an awning. He's got goose gear. He's got a fridge. He's got shower, propane, just camera equipment, all the stuff. So I think we're about 700-800 pounds on any given time, constant load. So he's running the Icon 1.5 rear coil springs along with some airbags that are helping it out, and now running the Fox 2.5 DSCs. So those got both the height he wanted from initially setting out on this kind of suspension journey. So he's got 3 inches of true lift in the front. And then he has 1.5 inches of lift in the back. Plus he's got the ride quality, as good, if not better ride quality than he was experienced in Bilstein. So for him, everything is working out, you know, real perfectly. We were kind of taking him through some of the terrain that we like playing in, and it became very apparent that that truck's not really set up for being as aggro and aggressive as we are.
All the gear in the back, I mean, it's all bolted in place, and it's really well organized, but it's still...
Yeah. The thing I noticed was the
yard sale in the back.
the thing I noticed that the rear springs are just
going slow. It felt a little bit stiffer than I anticipated.
Yeah.
And I think that has to do with the springs. Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as smooth as I anticipated.
Yeah.
Everything at full soft for a little while. A little bit of dirt, mostly highway, just to see how it felt. One of the things I was remarking about how is, I think the front springs are just too too firm for this setup. The pros are, yeah, you get all the height you need for bigger wheels and tires, but it just doesn't feel like the cons being, it doesn't feel like the suspension is working too much in the front. It feels good, it's planted it and whatnot, but I feel like on the harder stuff, it's just it might end up bucking. But that right there is good. So always the pros and the cons of running too heavy of a spring in order to get as much height as possible to fit tires is, yeah, it's good, you got bigger wheels and tires now, but is your suspension only like going through 50% of the range of motion it should? So that's kind of what I think about a lot, because I'm in the dirt a lot and out here a lot on this stuff. Whereas most people are usually just trying to fit bigger wheels and tires just to, you know, daily drive their vehicle in a more aggressive fashion.
Yeah, I think we set up his front because he got the diesel engine. We knew we had to go heavier than the 450-pound spring that came out, out of the box on the 2.5 DSCs for the Rams. So 450 pounds was meant for the V8, the 5.7 V8, which all these brands are really testing their shocks with. They really, a lot of these guys, everyone's got to get on the train of the diesel because there's a lot more diesels out there. So I'm talking to you, Bill Stein, and Falcon, and Fox, and probably Icon as well. But what's going on is running the 450-pound spring on a diesel, you're going to have to preload it a ton. And by preloading it too much, you're definitely going to affect just ride quality in general. Plus bottom out protection. There will be very little bottom out protection when you preload the shock or preload the spring that much to get the height on a spring that's already not equipped to handle that much weight. So we got him in, we were debating between 500-pound spring, 550, or 600. My intuition said, let's go with the 550-pound spring, but he was debating on getting a new bumper, winch in the front end. So just a lot more accessories in the front. So we opted for the 600-pound, no preload, see where it sat. And luckily it sat basically right at 3 inches of lift in the front. But like you said, the vehicle handles nice. It handled very controlled.
Yeah.
There's over all the bumps, it maintained traction and maintained the path on a lot of this stuff. But typically what I like to see is just more wheel movement rather than entire chassis movement, which is what we're kind of experiencing. And I think that's because those springs are really almost too firm for the current setup. I'd rather probably see a 550-pound spring or a 500-pound spring preload a little bit more, because those springs are going to give some more and let that suspension kind of move a lot more as you're going down these trails.
I do feel like for his driving style,
yeah,
it's
actually
a great setup.
I think it's good.
It
yeah,
looks perfect. I mean,
yeah.
that lift is perfectly level. It
Yeah.
looks fantastic with all that weight on there. He's not out there trying to rock crawl or do any of the craziest stuff.
Yeah.
He just wants to get from location to location
Yeah.
and be able to be out there. So I think
Yeah.
driving wise, it's great. I did notice that you got from driving on the city, asphalt to getting on dirt, you did get under there and make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Did you go stiffer, looser? What was your take on that?
Yeah, well, that's another thing too, is like, I feel that's what makes me think that the front springs were just too firm, because even as I made adjustments from full soft when we left the saloon, got on the highway, got on the dirt, I feel like that we had that set to full soft. And then and it was still handling pretty nicely. Like there was not much body roll, if at all. And then when I went to full firm after we made our stop and we went around some more, I could almost barely tell a difference, mainly because we weren't hitting it hard. So we couldn't really tell how much difference the high speed compression adjustments were making against bottom out protection. But the low speed compression, I mean, it was very, very, very hard to tell if there was any more body roll or less body roll, just because the front end just felt, back to the springs again, the front end just felt very well controlled, but all of my thought process when I was driving his truck was the rear suspension and how that was the questionable part. I feel like those bags and the springs and the shocks just aren't working as well as I would probably hope. I don't know, I just always felt the rear end doing something. The other thing to note back here is that the suspension does have Timbren air springs already helping out the suspension. So he's got normal coil springs, Timbren air springs, and the Fox 2.5 is all helping the rear end of this thing behave correctly. So we just made the shock super soft. I'm gonna get inside to see how it feels, and then when we get over to some other terrain, we'll change it up.
Well, his rear end does have a lot more weight than what you're used to also. And that's going to make a big difference. I mean, his load in the back is very different than what you have going on. Yeah.
I just felt that I found it interesting that both Jeff's and his, I was just like thinking about the rear suspension so often. Mine, I've got a bed slide, probably about 300 pounds of gear back there. Right? Oh no, that's not true. The camper shells is about 250, bed slides 100, and then probably another couple 100 pounds. So we'll call it 400 or 500 with the rack and everything together. But I mean, much heavier platform back there than probably all of the vehicles. So I like the way it's handling right now.
It's doing great.
Yeah. So with all that being said, I think our little evaluation period over the past couple of days went really well. We just got the genuine kind of authentic butt feel of what these vehicles feel like underneath the suspension, because that's really what we're trying to do here. We get customers just all the time, just like, how's this, how's that, are Fox shocks worth it? You know, that we get that a lot, and I'm just like, if it's in your budget, I think they're definitely worth it. They're not a throwaway shock. You get them rebuilt. So all of our shocks can be, rebuilt. And what we like to do is like, all right, well, all of our shocks need to be rebuilt. Let's see what's next. Put it on there, get them rebuilt, and maybe pass it along.
And I know Kingston mentioned that he kept his old shocks.
Oh yeah.
The 6112s for rebuild time.
Yeah.
So that he wouldn't have any downtime with the truck. He can just swap them in, get the Fox rebuilt, and then swap them back out. So that's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, I think the next thing I'm looking forward to most is some adjustable Fox 2.0 reservoirs on my truck. And then I'm looking forward to getting the Tacoma DSCs rebuilt and having the rear end kind of set up, and then really being able to see how much those adjustment settings make a difference through the various various terrains. So with how the Tacoma was kind of built out right now, I think we got a little bit of a sense of how good that long travel kit is in the front, but like I think it needs some work in the back to really match the capability of the new front end. So, we got not only all the testing we did during the day, but we're out here at Joshua Tree right now. It's pretty dark right now, but we had a beautiful sunset the other day, super orange glow. Yeah. It was one of those situations where you're just like, I'll pull over anywhere right now just to like enjoy the orange. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you guys have any questions on Fox or any of the vehicles, or just me or Eric, hit us up in the comments, email us, where to find us on all Shock Surplus on all the channels. We definitely appreciate your time. Thanks so much.